then you pass it on to your son, and he can absorb all your knowledge.
That's an interesting concept. Little downloaders. Okay, so here we go. We are in, we are live, we are rolling, we are flying, we have hit the ground with our feet on the floor. And here we have with us the Ronin Experience. What a pleasure. What an honor. Let me make sure my mic is right for this. Basically, Ronin is well, as the namesake explains, he's a Ronin. He's a bit of a rebel. He stands on his own 2 feet. He thinks for himself. He's a podcaster and a dad and a researcher as well. I'm hoping he's going to tell us about some of the wonderful research he's done where he lives in the Americas. It's going to come up, I'm sure. He's a wonderfully eloquent and well-tuned individual, I would say. He has an innate understanding of words, the meanings, the representations of how words have become what they are, the spells of words. He's also well-versed in the money game that we're living in and the cryptocurrency game that we're moving towards, the way money is falling to pieces around us. He's also got an amazing podcast show, the Ronin Experience. If you just click on my YouTube, just click there in recommended channels, you'll see him there. It's definitely a channel to go and check out. He normally appears with Moonfeather and Dr. K, and these guys shred it between them. Beautiful little trio. That's actually how I met him. Welcome, Mexico and Ramar and Sherry. I hope you guys are well. You guys have come to enjoy the real treat here. And yeah, man, let's get this story going here. We've got the Ronin. I'd love for him to introduce himself. Do say hello, dear.
I just like the music. Greetings to all the Earthlings. Franklin, it's a true honor to be here. This is a touch loud.
Sorry, that went completely off the raft. Please continue.
Okay. It's okay. Greetings, Earthlings. Peace and harmony to you all. Franklin, is a true honor to be here on your show and to cast our spells broadly out here to the realm. You know, you are probably, I would say, you're the realest shaman I've ever met. You know, and had the pleasure of rubbing digital elbows with. So again, such gratitude to you and everything that you bring to everyone. You're so open and non-judgmental and helpful, and you do things really with love, and that is, you're like you're a great demonstration of that. So massive honor to you and gratitude. Yeah, come check out the Ronin Experience, my friends, Friday evening. I mean, we have Moonfeather, who's just a natural conduit of spirit. We have Hillel Keanu of Konami Codes, who is perhaps, I would say, also one of the wisest people I've ever met. You know, he's and also very balanced, and I have the honor to call him and reach out to him. He answers my phone calls, which is pretty cool. So this kind of collective that we have, this is come together so organically. I feel like we've all kind of put our torch out there and lit our lights out there and just attracted each other and came and we see each other, and it's such a wonderful thing. So it's a true blessing to be here. And yeah, thank you, Franklin.
And the honor is all mine, dear brother. And you were the one who inspired me to come up with the roundtable idea, and obviously you were one of the founding members, so it's fit that you would be here. And like you say, Keanu is amazing. Kalal, that's why we started calling him Dr. K, because he needed a superhero name.
Yeah, he's a big deal, man. Kalal's a big deal. I feel that many people are going to be attracted to his message, and he's very tuned in, and yeah, man. So I mean, one thing that I'm just gonna belly flop into some things and see where it takes us, man. And I would love to hear your take. Oh man, I could sit and just listen to your experiences. Like it's just so gratifying to hear some of the things you've touched on. You know, with the jungle experience and the eagles and the trances that you've been in and the other work that you've done is just so incredible, man. I love people who are interesting and actually do things, you know what I mean, have many chapters in their life, you know, and have gone out on their own. Like you've done a lot of that solo. Yeah, your past, you know, intertwined with some other people here and there, but essentially you've been on a mission solo to find out who you are, what you are, where you are, where are you, when are you, you know, why are you? And that's a true that's so powerful, because I've also felt that call at an early age, and I just went about it just different, you know, in different regards. But we kind of, here we are. We ended up in together. You know what I mean? So we're gonna find out like some of those questions today, I think, in this interdimensional conversation. By the end, perhaps we'll know a little bit more on what this is about. So yeah, I mean,
I'd love to get into
yeah,
the Ronin experience because you are
let's
Ronin.
go.
For those of you that don't know what a Ronin is, I think it bears mentioning. A Ronin is a samurai. Now, samurai dedicate themselves to their masters, their lords, and they will die for their lords and their lord's family, their royalty. They will sacrifice themselves if they dishonor their masters. A Ronin is somebody that has decided to go rogue. And as rogue is exactly what Ronin represents, a rebel without a pause. That's waiting applause.
And
And
you
he
know,
definitely has pause.
forgive me for interrupting. I'm getting better at not interrupting people. Please forgive me. I grew up a samurai. I grew up wanting to um, serve and protect the collective in whatever form that is. And I became, I'm sure, like many of us, disenchanted by that, realizing that it's not what we thought it was. Although I think naturally we are kind of like come up as like almost like a samurai, meaning we want to help, you know, especially when we're young, especially as males, we want to do, you know, do our boy. You have a young boy. You can see that. We want to do things and eventually learn. We wrestle with each other. We play. We build things. We break things, and then later we want to be able to protect those around us, protect those that can't protect themselves, or help those, or do things right. Unfortunately, and I think that's natural. I think that's biological. You know, the tribal style is very, the nuclear family, the extended family, the tribe, doing everything for the tribe. Young, middle-aged, and the elders all have their job. But again, you know, a lot of that's been coerced, and you know, when, you know, part of the wordplay I really enjoy really helps me know. It helps me know, because knowledge is power, dude. Those that don't have knowledge, I can hear the way they talk. They'll say, well, you know, they'll see the issues of the realm, and they'll go, whoa, what can I do? What can I do about that? To me, that comes from supreme ignorance, because of the lack of knowledge. And that is, and because they don't have the knowledge, they don't have the power. So of course they're going to feel powerless and go, what can I do? Right. So you know, or they'll go, I'll just go along, just go with the dark flow, because what's the, you know, what can I do? So in my because I constantly gain knowledge, and I can see the spells, I can see the wards, and being used, I can use them to my own benefit. And unfortunately, you know, I had to become a Ronin, and just embrace my own power, and continue to increase that power. You know what I mean? So, I come from an America point of view. I say America. I think America is a beautiful word. Not USAA or USSA, but America, because when you think Rica, like Africa or Costa Rica, the rich coast, Puerto Rico, the rich port, Amu Rica or Amore, love, rich, rich, rich in you know what I mean? In that's America, and it has been around for a very long time. So it's very incredible. I was born here. Another thing that I've learned that I see in where the power comes is like, this is not my avatar. I mean, this is my avatar, but I'm not my avatar. I'm not when you know yourself, when you know what you are, who you are, where you are, I don't identify as a male or, a lighter skinned male. This burns away. So then what are you? Right? What are you when this burns away? So when I continue to look and to know myself, and my avatar is not me, then I'm also more familiar with without. So when I talk to strangers, right, I'm already familiar with them. I know them a little bit because I know myself. That takes that fear away. I see myself in others. Why? Because I know myself. So I think a lot of things come from not knowing oneself. So I see all people, no matter what they look like, as me, as family. You know what I'm saying? As whoever. Now, some of these family members do get on my nerves, right? Let's not pretend. And every once in a while, you might have to, you know what I mean? But it's all in love. And the thing about that's also love too, man. You got to turn your back on people who aren't behaving properly, because that's literally showing them love. It's not the best, I'd rather throw them a hug, but sometimes you gotta turn your back on them. You know what I mean? And let them do things for themselves. So, yeah, man. Otherwise, if I identified with only people that looked like me, we'd be the green-eyed bandits, because I'd only talk to people with green eyes, because I got dragon blood in me. But when I was hatched, so anyway, kidding, but yeah, just want to throw some of that out there. I mean, and belief is another beautiful word. Be the leaf. Be leaf. I know people think. See, I like to use these as my own spells, my own power. Belief is so powerful. I know there's a thing that's like, belief is not good, knowing is good. No, I get it. I hear what you're saying. That's because of the lack of knowledge. Maybe you don't see the same word. I don't see the be lie. I see the be leaf. So that's another beautiful word. So yeah, man. Yeah. Sorry, a little. I hope that rant made any sense to anyone.
Not at all, brother. It makes perfect sense, and it's coming from the heart, and you're unveiling yourself. You're undressing for us, which is great. This is the Naked Ronin show. That's what we should have named this, actually. And that's exactly what I love about you, is that you just are what you are. You don't have a pretense. You don't, embezzle. This is me. Take it or leave it, which is awesome. That's the way we all meant to be. Like, it's a childlike way of being, where you don't have this big shoulder chip. Most of us tend to go through life with chips on our shoulders. And if we want to see the size of those chips, look at our parents. Unfortunately, they came from a culture where the chips were bigger. We're luckily at a culture where the chips are getting smaller, and we're able to, like, thanks, I'm cashing in my chips. Done with those. Don't need them anymore. The only chips I want is hot chips. The kind of French fries that are nice and dangly. But what I really wanted to broach with you, and I wanted to, like, jump into some of the amazing topics. Obviously, you mentioned the Americas, yeah, and there's something very spiritual. I mean, we're all on the same page when we realize that there in the Americas is the source of our giant history. And I believe you've been taking a look around the neck of the woods where you live, which is so organic and authentic, because we all hear about stuff on the web, everybody, researchers, but you went and touched the rocks. I'd love to hear about some of the rocks you've touched with your hands and what it's shown you, and what your local research of the rocks you've touched have shown you literally in your backyard.
Yeah, well, absolutely. First of all, spirit brought me here. I'm in what's known as Georgia, and spirit brought me here. There's a reason why I'm here. And Georgia is interesting when you think of George Washington and King George back in those times. By the way, I'm going to preface this with the Americas are the oldest land in this entire realm. A lot of the pyramids, there are so many pyramids here just in the North Americas. Of course, we know Central America, we're very aware of them. The reason we're aware of a lot of the pyramids in Mexico and things is because they lack the bureaucracy. So they've excavated a lot of that. They've seen there's a hill, they've moved the dirt away, and they go, whoa, dude, there's like Mayan temples and things here, which was just uncovered not that long ago. Like literally like 50 or 60 years ago in places like Mexico. We have that here in the Americas. We have but they're covered in mounds. They're called mounds. They literally have groups that protect this information, and keep them as mounds. So when you think of George Washington, now everything's inverted. The lies it's so easy to tell the lies, because whatever the conquerors tell you and the deceptors and the dark magi tell you, all you got to do is it's the exact opposite. Like that's a little cheat code. If they tell you it's cold, it's probably hot. If they tell you it went west, it probably went east. And so when you look at George Washington, this awesome painting, there's like a young melanated kid in the background, right? And now that kid, I might be incorrect on this, or I'm close, is the son of King George. That child is a melanated person. King George was a melanated, dark-skinned person. George Washington was an agent of King George. Okay. And so that young prince that is with him in the background, that picture, I forget his name and everything, is there as a guide to guide him through the Americas. Now, there are records. There's a king's list and a queen's list. The Davids and the Davidas, they had in the Dodes. There were intermarriages in the Americas with those in Europe, for well over 1,000 years. There's a literal king's list. That's where you get like, if anyone's last name is Williams, it's because it comes from Welsh. You were part of the Welsh thing. And there's here in the Americas, there's a lot of melanated people with the last name Williams. You know what I mean? Then you have very simple things like California, Queen Khalifa, which has so many cool legends that she had like griffins in everything. So it's incredible. That's cool. So a couple cheat codes is when I hear like the end of the words are like ia, like ia, that to me is feminine. That tells me there was probably a queen and not a king. So when it comes to them moving dark-skinned people from Africa to the Americas, there's literal known history that it actually went the other way. Okay. And those people were not brought here from Africa. They were already here. So I'm also in Georgia, where there's groups of people called the Gullah Geechee. They have been here for a long time. So it's just a lot. It's a lot to and I'm just rapid fire. I'm just throwing stuff out there. You know what I mean? But the words here in the Americas, the rivers, the mountains, The Europeans didn't come here and name those things. They were already had those names, so we can use those words. I go more on the sound than I do the actual spelling, because that spelling is encoded. You know, 26 letters. That's a encoding. So yeah. Where, I mean, we could pick it. So anyway, so I'm in Georgia, so I'm looking in my backyard. I have pyramids. They call them mounds. There's underground platforms in this Etowah mounds. Eto means atoll. Think italics. Think Italy. Think what the Jamaican Rastafari you call atoll, I. And then wah, right? It's like the breath of the Almighty. Wah, right? So you have Etowah here, all over here. You know, you have the Leke mounds that were destroyed. They were pyramids. They were mainstream 1,500 years old. They're probably even older. Leka, to leak information. Think about it in like a secret, you know, alphabet agency. When we've got a leak, right? Leaking information. This information now is getting leaked, and you can't plug it with your fingers. What's that that story with the Dutch, you know, putting your fingers in? Those dams are breaking. And what's funny is they have literal dams here in the U.S. that cover up whole old cities. You know what I mean? So again, this is just shotgun. Everything I'm saying, there's so much little like tidbits. I mean, we all know things like, just think of everything's in your face. Cuba, the ka and the ba, the cube, you know, Kaaba, Cuba, right? So all this stuff, all of your Greek and Hebrew and all that stuff comes from the Americas, whether it's the Phoenicians or Old Hebrew here in the Americas, right here, went that way. That's where the Greeks, right? You have Greeks. That's where the Greeks got this information from, right? And, you know, they'll tell you, you know, all kinds of things. I mean, Ethiopia was actually here in the U.S., in the Americas. They actually made that name later in what we know as Ethiopia now. Morocco here, Berbers, Barbers, Harbors, Barbary here in the Americas. They went that way. So a lot of this can be uncomfortable for people. And if anyone out there feels a little uncomfortable, you're welcome. Anytime someone tells me something that makes me feel, I get a little tight and anxious, I consider that a blessing. I have to sit and really dissect those thoughts. Where do these thoughts come from? You know, are they an original thoughts, or were they implanted in me? You know, yeah, that's a lot. Sorry, I'm all over the place.
Don't be sorry. No, you're spitting out fire. Like you just dropped casually. Yeah, and Ea is one of the oldest god names that there are, and in Eridu, this personality that relates to this god name in the stories was known as Enki, and in Akkad, which is the basis for the Akkadian language, Enki was known as Ea. And then we see the Hebrew name.
I didn't even know that. I love this.
Oh, there we go. That name that you're talking about is as old as any legends that we can come up with. The only legends that's older than that are the Celtic legends about that big worm creature that went down, the mud diver, and dived under the ground and spat up bits of mud and formed the continents. It's the only older legend that there is, other than the ones that you're talking about. And it almost makes us wonder, like, what is the roots of these beings with the cuneiform writing? Why can't we find any source?
Real quick, and I just want to throw, there's a legend here in Georgia next to a town. I just drove by another town over the weekend called Etowah. It's about 92 miles from the pyramids here to Etowah. They have a legend there of there's a lake. I can't remember the name. There's a legend of a great worm that lived in that lake and would eat things. There's so many legends. I just had to throw. You mentioned that, and it just makes these connections are incredible. And I just learned them. Thank you, man, for that. Please continue.
Yeah, that is very old. That's why it's in all the Hebraic god names. It's the beginning of the Tetragrammaton. The only thing that's added to that is the breath of yeah. So that release of the breath and that focusing of the mind. So it's like it's as fundamental as language. But that's interesting. You mentioned Etowah. There's something very like reminiscent of that name that speaks. It sounds like Paleo Hebrew, doesn't it?
It probably is. I mean, Paleo Hebrew comes from the Americas. Hebrew comes from the Americas. You know, wow. I don't even know where to go because this, you know, they're
broad topic.
It's a broad topic and it's so fat. I love it so much because it's everything that I've been told has been a lie. Everything, every single thing, because there was a battle, a takeover, a wrestling match, and unfortunately, one side, you know, you could call them, you know, we can use the word Moors, which those who don't know, in Norwegian, modern day Norwegian, look up the word for Mason. It's M-U-R-E-R. So Moor is Mason, for those that don't know. And so the Moors, there's a lot of different ways to spell it, but were basically ran what we know as Europe, right? Today, that's what we call it today. Well, of course, you have like, you know, the Great Inquisition and things like that, the taking over of what they call Spain now, which was what was it like? I forget. Started with an A, not Avalon, something like that. So once they conquered that, they opened up the mouth between Africa, Morocco, and what we call Spain. So then they could send their military across to India. You know, Christopher Columbus and all that. And we're told in school that he made an error. Oh, he's going out straight into the ocean and going west and going to find India and hopefully he gets lucky. No, he knew he was going to India and he found India. India, superior, is the Americas. India, what we know now, was not called India. In fact, they're in recent news, India is looking to change their name back to Bharat. And so they were not India. They were also not Asia. That's Asia Minor. The Americas was India superior and Asia superior. So Christopher Columbus and them, who were agents, they found India. And yeah. I mean,
that is such a big thing that's been a big part of India. I remember when I was in India, I got to know people from the Vedic Society, and they were fighting to educate the people of India to stop bastardizing your culture and taking this British name that you were given in the 1800s and living under this name. The same as Ceylon. Ceylon reclaimed their name, Sri Lanka. It was always Lanka. It was always Sri Lanka. And then it was called Ceylon. And we used to get tea from Ceylon because the British arrived and they said, we're going to call it Ceylon. Didn't want it to be called Lanka because it's too many legends about this Lanka place, right? And the Bharat is also very interesting. This is something that does sort of really hit on the notes of like what we consider Western language groups. We can probably imagine comes from America. I'm guessing. Like the language groups of the Akkadian. The Akkadian must be based there. What about all of these creatures across America? You don't get them in other places. Like it's a hotspot, isn't it? Giants, weird kinds of snowmen. Are there any such legends near where you live?
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, another just hijack was like horses were already here in the Americas. Like they didn't bring horses here; they were already here. And so there are legends of the Moon-Eyed people here in Georgia, and they're all over the place in the Americas. Massive legends. And of course, you have, this comes from an interesting group called they call them the Cherokee. I like to break some words down. When I hear key or ka or even chi, I hear, like chi, like, like almost like sha, you know what I mean? So ki is like chi. So when I hear, I don't care how you spell it. So Cherokee is very similar to, and this is more in your world that you're way more knowledgeable on like chi and ki and things like that. So you have that word, we can just play with the words like chi, che, cha, sha. You can almost get a sha, like a shaman, out of that. Remember, guys, the letter C is a hijack that was. We don't need the letter C that was introduced. That is part of the encoding of the Lan Gu age. And it's funny that you mentioned. So I thought of that because you meant Lanka, Lan, is actually land, and then Ka. So Ka, the land of Ka or Ki, yeah, Mississippi is the Nile, Mississippi, right? The 7 rivers, Isis, So you have Lan Ka, the land of Ki, Then over here you have Sha Ro Ki, right? And so the Cherokee have these legends of the Moon-Eyed people, that they battled them, and then they went down. The Moon-Eyed people, who were said to have like one eye, like a cyclops, they went down into the earth and retreated into the earth, right? So I see this realm as infinite plane, as above and below, infinite plane, but it's like a layer cake. There's layers. There's literal like layers, So in my opinion, this realm is merely that. It's a realm, and there's no escaping it, at least with your physical body, except perhaps through the portal, whether it's the soul, the sun. I know there's different people, people have different ideas. Don't go to the light. I get it. Soul trap. So I always joke around, like, I got to worry about scammers in the next life. Someone going, come this way. And I got to be like, whoa, so not only do I got to worry about scammers in this realm, I got to worry about scammers when I'm in the ether realm, trying to sell me, bad directions. So
you're hitting onto something fascinating that has had me on the edge of my seat for a long time. It's this Babylonian concept of the soul stealer, this box they used to carry around. And I remember when the Babylonian exhibit came to London, I was so excited, even though I was like, you stole their crap. I was like, I'm going to go and see it. I'm going to pay my £10. Or was it £20? I can't remember what I paid. It was just far too much. But I paid my money just to go and look at these old rocks. And as I must have spent like half the day there, just looking at these rocks, reading the stories, and everywhere they've got this picture of this box, and it makes me think of the Ark of the Covenant. But the legends that go with it is that they would expose this box to people, and this box would steal their soul. It's called a soul eater. So it translates to something like soul devourer, something like this. And they could basically sacrifice people to this. Very interesting.
And that's black box is part of the legions of Ra, the Ra legions, the Ra, the Ray, the Sun Ray, the Sun worshippers, the Chronos Saturn worshippers, the Black Cube, all the Black Cube stuff. The one that's sitting in Mecca, that people walk around and just give their energy. You want to talk about soul sucking? You go there and everyone walks around and gives this thing its energy, and supposedly it's an asteroid. One part is supposedly an asteroid, and the one corner is supposed to be something from space. But these are black cube of Saturn worshipers, you know, even things like, Miss Or, Miss Or. I mean, yeah, man. I haven't really broken down Misora, as they say some places, but yeah, there's so many words. I have to sometimes I can think about like let's play with Missouri. Misery. I just left the town in it was spelled Sevier. Savior. Savior. I'm walking around saying Savior. Oh, you're on mute for a sec. But anyway, that black cube soul sucking thing you mentioned, all that's connected to Saturn and Kronos and the people that are running the, you know, what I call the pyramidal oppressive power structure. And even like things like, you know, the letter T, which comes from Phoenician, is Tau. The letter T is Tau, and it's actually an X. So when you look at these Knights Templars and Vatican and things in the military, they are the military arm of. They are trying to. They have. If I don't know if anyone's noticed, but they've been trying to. They're taking over this realm, and they want to enslave you and kill you. I don't know if anyone's noticed that. None of these little things are organic or independent things. It's all connected. You know what I mean? Including the language. So again, this is where the knowledge is power. You know, for me, all I can do is shine my light, share what knowledge I have, operate in love as much as possible. Anybody, you know, anything that happens to me in my face, I'm gonna defend my people here. But otherwise, I don't get involved in any other loosh stealing protests. You know, any rituals I don't participate in. You know, I don't complain. I don't complain about the oppressors being too oppressive. I have solutions, you know, and that's part of that is starving the beast. Part of that is the financial aspect. I promote money laundering. I think it's a virtue not to pay taxes to anybody ever, anywhere, no matter who you are. So I like to find ways to do that. I don't use their platforms. I don't watch TV. You know, if I do, if I want to watch something, I pirate it. You know, they don't get any of my resources, any of my energy. I don't even know what's happening in like political world. I don't care. You know, who cares? I don't have a government. There's no mente, govern, control, mente, mind. There's no mind controllers here. I mean, I live here. I have some paperwork. I got a driver's license and passport, so I do need permission to travel. I do have, you know, that's a battle that's kind of difficult to fight. You know what I mean? Like if I want to come hang out at the Penguin Sanctuary, I need permission, you know, to leave this quadrant. You know what I mean?
The free land.
What's that?
You need permission to leave the free land.
I'm so free. Yeah, it's the land of the slave, home of the free. So I look around, I see everyone just completely powerless. So I won't be a martyr, and I won't try to defend a sick herd. I'll let the sick herd take care of itself. I'll let the lemmings run off the cliff. I'm not gonna stop. Lemmings, stop! I'm gonna step right out of the way after you. Just make sure you leave the keys in the Lambo for me. So I'll you know. But yeah, man.
That's something that amazes me, because everybody always looked up to America. And they looked up to America because America's got probably the most impressive, well, used to have, it's sad to say this, but used to have the most impressive Bill of Rights. The rights in the Constitution of America were about as close to freedom as you can actually get in terms of even the Magna Carta doesn't touch it, you know. And the Magna Carta is Britain's version of that. But it seems like the Magna Carta is a watered-down version. And that Bill of Rights must come from an ancient people that lived in a free society that they were trying to turn into slaves, but they had to do so under the guise of you're free. Look at this Bill of Rights. And once they had the Bill of Rights, there must have been a time of freedom before the maritime law started to creep in and replace common law step by step by step until you all needed passports, and IDs and driver's licenses and all that other rubbish and the banknotes.
Franklin,
this is quite.
You a bill. If I pass you a bill, I'm gonna slide a bill over to you. What is that? You gonna pay the bill?
I'm suddenly in debt to someone.
You want to be right? You want freedom? You got to pay. But that's all a trap. Even the Magna Carta was a bit of a trap. Was a trap. It's to get you under a system. And of course, when they sell, these people are masters of branding and marketing and selling the Bill of Rights. You're like, yay! First of all, don't give me a bill. I was born free. I was born rich. You know what I mean? How about get out of the way? I don't need a bill and pay for my freedom. All I have is all there is oppressors and those that want to scam you. They're straight scammers. So they go, here's the Magna Carta. You're free. Oh, thank you, King. Thank you, King. Thanks for allowing us to be free. Do you want to be free? Everyone needs to ask themselves if they want to be free, because also freedom, being free, is that you're on your own. You're Ronin. If you want to be free, you're Ronin. That means there's no safety net, which is why, it's unfortunate, but I wish, they broke up the nuclear family. One is like, you can see if you look at how they took over Russia, and then they moved that into like the Communist Manifesto to take over America, that introduces things like, all the wars and World War II, getting women to work and feminism and all that. And that breaks up the nuclear family. And they go, hi, we're the government. We'll give you money. We'll give you money for your kids and house and all that. And that sounds fabulous. You take that check. You owe the bill, the bill of right. You have the right to be billed. So, I know, to me, these are so self-evident things. This is why I'm not going to be battling for anyone else. I don't want to battle for nobody, because I can see no one gets any of this. Like 99.9, this is like less than 1%. There's like five. I don't know if you're aware. There's like what's been called like 5%ers. There's been a group here in the Americas. And I know that there's some things there. They have a lot of awesome teaching, mathematics, etc. I think it's less than 5%. Okay, I think we're at 0.0005% of people that get even an inkling of what I'm talking about, and the magnitude of that. Being so hypnotized, being so lost and not knowing who you are, being so ignorant of every aspect, who you are. Who are you? Who are you? Me, we have, like, for example, the Ronin Experience is the greatest show that's ever existed in this realm that I know of, and probably other realms. Why? Because I'm awesome. Awesome as F. So is Kalel, so is Moonfeather, so are you, Franklin. So I look in the mirror sometimes and I go, you're awesome as F, right? It's kind of like if you ever play sports, or if you ever go to a job interview, or you're ever about to go on the first date with a girl, you go, you're awesome, right? I do that sometimes, just going out the house on a Tuesday, just to get pumped up. Let's go. You're awesome. And every breath that I take, every step that I take is in freedom, is its own protest. So.
And I do see exactly where you come from. My dog's asking me to let him out for a pee-pee, so I'm going to have to let him out for a pee-pee in a moment. Yeah. But I love where you're going, and I think that this is exactly the mechanisms of control that we've been taught in school, to need validation from the outside. You did well in that test. That was awesome. Or you did badly, so that we can be controlled. And the whole idea of exactly. All these adjectives have become somebody's trying to manipulate you. If someone's trying to manipulate you, they will use adjectives. Doesn't mean they're manipulating you, because you could be in love with a woman and say, you're amazing, you're awesome. It's not because you're manipulating, it's because you worship the ground she walks on. That's a little bit different. But if it's not a man-woman situation, normally, or a man-man, if you bend that way, some people bend that way, good for them. But it's normally a romantic thing, isn't it? And it seems like we've been so trained into falling in love with our masters, with our teachers, with our government. And I totally agree with you. I totally see where you're coming from. It seems to me I've been the same. I'd love to touch on, you mentioned about these mounds.
Okay.
We can't talk about mounds without the idea of the mud flood.
Okay, yes, absolutely.
I'm going to turn up my mic and let the dog out quickly.
Okay, yeah.
I'd love to hear more.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Before I just touch on that, one thing is when you know game, you can see people who are trying to quote unquote run game on you in some way, whether it's on an individual way, anyone that tries to be deceptive or manipulative and use whatever little tactics they want to use, shaming tactics and all those guilt trips and all those types of things. When you have game and game, you can game recognizes game, all this stuff. You see the silliness that people try and play, and they don't even know they're playing, and it's just like. So what I do is, there is a time, I don't know if you guys watched a couple weeks ago, Kalel had to, pull out the sword, if you will. And sometimes, in my opinion, niceties are fine and all, but I mean, they only go so far, man. And for me, I don't even let a weed of manipulation take root. So I immediately shut it down. Which is probably why my circle is small. So I can see phonies, grifters, manipulators, emotional manipulators. It's so weak. That's another part of knowing thyself. I'm not an enabler. I won't enable you. You're done. You'll get shut down. And then if you learn your lesson, you go, why is everybody shutting me down? That is actually a true blessing to go do some introspection. But anyway, enough of that stuff. So when I look at the Etowah Mounds here as just one example, there's a plaza underneath. There's also the Etowah River that runs right next to it, and they built a dam about 2 miles up river. Now, the amount of soil over this plaza, man, I had to guess, and the water probably looked different. They have petroglyphs in the water also. So the water levels and flow probably look different. There's probably 30 to 40, feet of just dirt and grass on this plaza, stone plaza, think Mexico. That's what we have in Georgia. If you dig up all these mounds, you're going to find stone pyramids and you're going to find plazas. So they're so deep under soil. I don't think like in the 1800s, people were like shoveling dirt on top of them to cover it up. I think there was some sort of cataclysm of some kind. And, I know there's different concepts, especially when you go out west, you see like plasma events, you see like petrified wood. And some would even say even some of the stone were actual either trees or other biological things, maybe like even blood, like straight like mammals and stuff, you know what I mean? Because some of the people claim that some of the stones are actually organic material like blood and things that got plasmified, right? So that could have created some sort of mud flood. I really don't know. I love receiving the information, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you exactly what happened because I'm not truly sure, but I can tell you there's a couple things. One, these things didn't happen a gazillion years ago. They're way sooner than what we thought. Speaking of that, too, things like the bull, the two Taurus, I don't think is very old. I think that was written in probably the 1800s, if I'm being honest. A lot of things all this stuff is brand new. So a lot of these cataclysms are not that long ago. Then you turn and put in things like the Kerrigan events, right? There's lots of what's called Kerrigan events where the sun would be dark for an extended amount of time. Like think the Dark Ages and the Black Plague. You know, a lot of that probably comes from no sun for a couple years. You know, varying degrees of these so there's all kinds of anyone thinks that this like change doesn't happen, you're seeing change now. So when I was talking about another point I want to talk on about how maybe one group was highly melanated and we're told they're more lighter skin and vice versa. We're looking at mass changes in population now today in real time. So you can't think like, oh, well, if all of Europe was dark-skinned and Vikings were dark-skinned, and why aren't they there now? And blah, blah, blah. You're seeing how right now. And these people have done this before. They're experts at changing and pushing the herd to certain places and literally changing the people. And when you change the people, you change the culture. So anyway, that's what I'll just rest that there. But yeah, so not only do I have pyramids here, in the single state of Georgia, there's probably 30 to 40 to 50 pyramids. There are petroglyphs here. There are petroglyphs on the mountains, and they're eagle-shaped, thousands of years old. I spoke on this like last year, but now I'm doing more on these furnaces. There are 30 furnaces that I've found in Georgia. 15 of them are in my county. And I'm hiking out and I'm putting a presentation together. They're supposedly furnaces. All right. When I look up other iron core furnaces, they look more like a factory in the 1800s, the same time. So why don't they have a factory? Why do they have a bunch of old school stuff? They also resemble the honeycomb tombs of other places in the land. So either these are tombs that are way older, or maybe they're real old iron. I don't think they're used for iron making. So I'm putting a presentation out there now. I'm going hiking and looking at them and putting hands on them, seeing what I can figure out. I'm literally building a presentation now. But the stuff here is everyone has to really know that the stuff in the Americas is older. So when you see stuff in like Europe and Bulgaria and all these other places, they're a little bit more newer, so they're going to be a little nicer. Let's be honest. Their little newer stuff is a little nicer. So I'll get into more details on that. But as we go, I'm building a presentation now, Franklin, on a lot of that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, because I think the information is sorely needed, because obviously the story of Tartaria, I mean, they've sold us a crock of, there was a huge super state, and the so-called Bolshevik revolution. Come on, don't sell that as a revolution. Sell that as an invasion, Zionist invasion of a free people. Yeah. And it does seem to. We talk about how the shape of the continents changed, and it was supposed to have happened over thousands of years. If this mud flood was a global phenomenon, and I can't see it not being the case, because the first thing I noticed when I got to England was they built under bloody ground. These buildings are not that old. What were they thinking? Building so you walk into a kitchen and you're below ground level. It's like you're like a good 8 foot below ground level. Many of the first floor isn't even up, and they all have basements. Everybody just built basements. It's just normal. Did they really have basements? Because when you go into the basements, they've got bloody windows. It's like we're a floor below the floor going into underground, and we've got a basement, and we've got bloody windows. And I noticed a lot of these houses with windows in the basements.
When do they tell you they're built? Like, what's the mainstream?
The last 100, 150 years.
Like 1800s-ish?
The mud flood must have happened in the late 1800s. or the early 1800s. It's hard to say because, these buildings were so well built that they can stand for hundreds of years. They were built with stone. They were built properly. They're not like the cheap crap we we've become accustomed to since the Chinification of the world, where everything is made cheap and replaceably. Because of the cheap workforce in China, we got used to that, didn't we? Things just use and throw mentality. So they could make everything cheaper out there in Asia, and they learned how to make things really cheap. But so this mud flood seems to definitely be something that I noticed all across the UK. I spent a lot of time in the UK, and I noticed this, and it always blew my mind to like how consistent it is. Wherever you go, where there's an old part of England, you've got these buildings underground. It's just part of the car. And the same thing is happening in the US. So this mud flood must have been big.
Yeah. So when they were building those buildings, let's just pretend mainstream let's just play real pretend. We're going to play, this is like super pretend land. They built these buildings in 1890, let's say. Let's just, again, we're playing real pretend. They tell you they built them in, like, let's just say 1890. You're telling me they had shovels and they dug out those buildings to go that far down? And then they put stone, they stacked stone, or maybe they had, I'm sure they had pulleys and things. And they built all that, and they pushed all the dirt back all over the world. Everyone built their stuff below ground. When we're told there was no cranes, there's no real gas power machines things, right? That's mainstream. So when you look at their mainstream, you can see their stuff doesn't even add up. In fact, when they do their math, even in the cosmos, their math doesn't even add up. That's why they have that God particle, Boson Higgs. All that stuff's made up, just like this history is made up. They make it all up, and even their stuff doesn't even equate to things. Something I want to ask you about is, like, in the UK, like is the subway or the train system that's underground. In New York, I'm not an expert on this, but they built new subways. So there's subways way down that are like shut, they're like shut down. And all these subways above, we're talking about holes. It's mind-boggling how anyone could have built these in the early 1900s. You know what I mean? Dude, we had, like, here in the Americas, we had trolleys we had electrical trolleys in the 1800s destroyed. We had those little carts, those little electrical carts, those like scooters. They were here in the Americas. They were gone. So this is there's already a lot of technology here that was literally covered up and whitewashed. Literally whitewashed, meaning taking white paint and covering everything up. It's when you have eyes to see, and you were talking about you walked around, you did a lot of exploration in the UK. When you have eyes to see and you know the code, you can see these things. And they're trying to run game on you. And you go, your game is so weak. And those that don't have the code and they don't know game and they don't know themselves and they have no knowledge, they don't know, they're blind. All these people, man, walking around like a bunch of blind babies. Some of them are literally just stumbling around. I feel like you just give them a little nudge. They're just, it's wild how clueless people are, man. To me, it was self-evident growing up. That's probably to you as well. You're like, you're like 5 years old or something. You're like, or 8 years old or 10 or 12 years old. You're like, this is all bull. This is all BS. You just feel it in your spirit.
I used to go around in London whenever I found a building site in the Zone 1 of London, like King's Cross area is a classic example. In the center of London between King's Cross and, like, right there, if they're doing big construction work between buildings, if there's a construction site, try and slip in and hide, like get behind the buildings where you don't normally get to be. And I found the most amazing things that are hidden.
By the way. I love doing stuff like that.
discovered ancient temples that are hidden. They don't want people to know. These are ancient temples. These temples must be thousands of years old. And hard to say, but the temple, the one temple that I found with my ex-wife many years ago that I made a big deal about it, and people weren't that impressed. I was like, what do you mean? This is like an ancient Greek temple that must be thousands of years old, and they're hiding it behind buildings. Like, since when is that even allowed? You know, this is heritage. It should be a heritage site. And so there's a lot of hiding stuff away going on in plain sight. And like you say, the underground, gosh, I did a bit of research into the underground, and what I noticed is they did a lot of building. I tried to track the secret bases they were building, because I know that my ex's father was intelligence in the DoD, and he used to work in an underground base near to Watford, which was actually where my ex-wife was from. So that's like two exes connected through the synchronicity. And noticed there was a lot of work done in certain areas in the lines, and noticed the work went on for years and it cost a lot of money, but there wasn't actually much done. And so there were some underground lines that you could actually explore to a certain extent. And there are tunnels that go down, but they're like blocked off with metal iron sheets. Don't know what's down there. But so yeah, I mean, they've definitely been utilizing those ancient shafts to rebuild. They've built whole cities under the ground in England. In fact, they sold one city under the ground. They actually took it out and put it on the market, real estate. Don't know what they thought they were doing, because they're like telling everybody, oh, by the way, this is a secret city we've had, and it's now on the market and it can house so many people. So they were selling real estate. I mean, the city had a power station, technology. Wow. It had everything in there. That food, like you could basically take 150,000 people down there and just live.
Yep.
It's more than a bunker. It's a city. It can produce food. It can produce all the stuff that it needs, power, everything. So it was,
I would love to sneak down there. I'd love to find the entrance and we just sneak down there sometime. That'd be awesome. I don't know how you get in, because I'm sure they have some entrances blocked, but I bet we can find something, bro. Just go on exploration. Hold on, you're on mute, brother. Franklin, you're on mute. You're on mute. You're on mute. Franklin, my friend. he's probably spitting such fire right now. Franklin, you're on mute. There you go.
Sorry, brother. No, I was just saying that the way they block these things off is like 2 to 3 inch thick steel. Like, I don't know what you would need to cut through that. You'd need oxyacetylene torches, to be able to cut through, but like the thickest steel I've ever seen. And it was like, they're obviously hiding something behind these huge steel gates with these huge built-in locks, these,
and I'm gonna just, there's, to use the, there's Masons and these groups out here. Those are crimes against nature, crimes against the realm, covering up and hiding these types of this information. Anyone involved with these organizations, I have zilch of respect for, because you're participating in the deception and covering up of our past, which is would be beneficial to all of us and unlock so much of our greatness and have such a way more beautiful realm. But this, I see what's beneath our feet. It's probably like a honeycomb. It's probably just honeycomb stuff all over. And if you continue down, you probably not only find other cities, you'll probably find a whole nother sun and a whole nother realm with a ceiling. One man's ceiling is another man's floor. You know what I mean?
I think we're going to have to write that one down. That's a beautiful one. One man's ceiling is another man's floor.
We live in our realm is like a flat, an apartment complex. We live in this apartment complex, and we're trying to get to the penthouse. You need the keys, though. You need the code. You need the code to get there. And you need that.
Something that you touched on, which is obviously close to your heart and something that you're very experienced in. You mentioned finances. It came up earlier, and I thought like we can't go without. So tell us about what you do. You're involved in crypto stories and creating NFCs, but you can tell I don't know much about these things. I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. One thing is part of starving the beast is not using their money. And we are communicating on the internet. We are talking, we do send messages to everyone through the internet. We buy and sell things on the internet, right? So instead of using their fiat currency, which can be tracked and used, it's not our money, it's their money, right? It's literally their money. So when you hear them say it's not y'all's money, they're correct, right? So that's cool. I don't have a problem with that. I'm gonna use my money. My money is cryptocurrency, but not just any cryptocurrency, the kind that you cannot track or trace or censor or shut down or know how much. If you use, there's some cryptos out here that I can send you money out. Let's say I want to buy something from you and give you $20, or we go to lunch and you pay for lunch and I go, all right, here's $20 for my half of the lunch. I can send you crypto, which people won't even know that how much was sent. They won't know who sent it and they won't know who received it. But I sent you, and there's no middleman. So I send you $20. They won't know, and they hate not knowing. They want to know everything, and they hate not knowing. If they hate it, I love it. Right? If they love it, I hate it. You know what I mean? It's very simple concept. So when we can have our own economy, right? And it's already exists, and people are already doing this. So again, this is a solution, not a complaint. This is a solution. I'm not mad at these lizards doing lizard things. You know what I'm saying? Lizards gonna lizard. You know what I mean? Sheep are gonna follow. You have a sheep that a sheep asked the wolf and asked the shepherd, "What's for dinner?" Okay, so we can operate in our own currency privately and do commerce with each other privately and starve their beast. They can have their fiat. They can have their money. I don't care. You can play with that money. I don't care less. But you're not going to stop me. I'm unstoppable. So there's a little bit of adjustments on being your own bank. Your own bank. Decentralized finance, DeFi, DEFI, and I spell it DEFY because I'm defiant. I resist. I don't complain. You're very rarely going to ever hear me complain. I'm only going to have solutions, or we'll try and figure it out together. So this is also keep the money in the community. Keep your resources in the community, right? I'm going to try and buy something I'm going to ask around you guys. And go, do you anybody, you guys know how to do this? Do you know how to do that? I don't care if you know how to repair a roof. Anyone nearby know how to paint, make a picture, a website, whatever. And I'll pay you in crypto, and it's just a one-on-one peer-to-peer thing. You do the thing. Now, if no one has the talent or time, then I'll reach outside of the community. But everyone's independent, autonomous, being their own bank. And it takes a little bit of effort, like a little bit of changing in behavior, slight changing in behavior. I know it's a little bit inconvenient. I know. But once you learn, you're free, financially free. By free, I mean, you could do whatever you want, buy whatever you want, and sell whatever you want to whoever you want. And they're going to stop that. They're going to try and stop that. But because I feel everyone needs to catch up now, because we may have to pivot. They're going to do their thing. I'm going to do my thing. We're going to pivot. So it's better to get a little bit of this knowledge, spend a couple minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes learning this for a little bit. That's all it takes. Getting familiar. I'll send you money. I've offered to send people money. Just set up your wallets and I'll send you some money and we can just practice. I'll send you $2. You send me $2 back. We'll just practice. You know what I mean? No one's taking me up on that. So again, you'll go to a thing like a CBDC, which it'll be timed, meaning you've got 30 days to spend it, or it disappears. That means you're not going to save anything. If you talk about some politicians or talk about something, they'll just take it out of your bank automatically. Boom, see you later. the masses are going to fall for that. Now, there's a solution. So that's where that is. I could go on and on because that, but you got to take a little bit of time and effort. All right. You can't use their stuff. You can't use the centralized exchanges like the central bankers or the central planners. Get away from them. Don't do business with them as much as you can. Their food's going to poison you. Their money poisons you. Their health poisons you. Their seances poison you. Their psi. Think of the word psi. Science, psychology, all this stuff, civils, everything, right? There's seances. Get away from that. Get away from everything. I got healers. If I'm ill, I'll call Franklin. Hey, and I'll call Kalel. I'll call all the people. I have this ailment, and you guys are going to give me an amazing idea. I got healers. You got bankers because you're going to be your own bank. You're the custodian of your own money, which means you want to be free. Did you want to be free? Because it takes a little bit of effort. You want to be your own bank? You got to do a little bit of research, right? You want to be your own doctor, healer? You got to do a little bit of research, right? Finances are included in all that. So boom. I don't want to ever hear anyone complain about these politics. I don't know anything about, you know what I mean? They can do what they want. But yeah. I'm unstoppable. Why? Because I have that mentality. You cannot stop me. You can try to get in my way. You can create an obstacle, but obstacles are the way. Know that. You're never going to live obstacle free out here. They are the way. But as you learn to navigate an obstacle, a little speed, maybe it's just a little speed bump, then the next one's a little bit of a hill. You start to gain confidence. You go, I've already conquered a couple hills, a couple mountains, a couple rivers. I've went around them, through them, under them, around, Now, anything you throw on my way, I already feel accomplished and confident. Any obstacle you try and throw on my way, you can't, I don't just curl up and quit. I guess it's as far as I'm going. There's an obstacle. I guess I'm done here, right? No. I guess I'll go along to get along. I guess I'll take the path of least resistance. No. You push through. So with the finances and the DeFi, don't you like money? Don't you need to do commerce in some way? At least in how this, the current setup is, right? So you take your own power and you become powerful. You take control of every aspect of your life. That includes finances and being your own bank. That includes a healer, being your own healer. That includes, gnosis and learning things, being your own teacher and guru. That includes your own scientists, your own. They stole sciences from alchemy. So be your own alchemist. Learn all these things. And learn them and learn from each other now. That's why I'm always like support the underground, because I'll be honest with you, man. I've been saying this for a while. Depending on how things go, I might, start to slide off into the corner. I came out here openly, publicly. Spirit called me out to come out here. I knew what I was doing when I was doxing myself. I was reluctant. I never had social media ever, because that's part of them. That's their system. If you like social media, make your own app. Hire your own devs. Make your own app. Boom, problem solved. You don't like their music, make your own music. Franklin, you make your own music. You like your own movies? Get some creators together. You have a camera, you have this, and then you make your own movies. It's being a creator, not a consumer. I could continue, but that's my little rant for now. Oh man. And it makes it more fun. Be a player, be a creator, do things. It makes it way more fun. Anyway, I'm done. Let me stop.
No, what you're saying is so beautifully on point, and it's so direct. And even the word doctor. A dock is a dock where a ship lands, and a tor is a body of water. So in the old times, if you wanted to get healthy, you had to go to the water. And for example, a lot of shamanic work involves water. A lot of arcane magical work involves water. Yeah, in South Africa, we've got all different kinds of sangomas, inyamas, utrejas, different kinds of shaman. And most of the work they do, they go and find a stream or by the sea. So, yeah, the secret to ley line energy, water under the earth, diamagnetism. Water is something, it's the source of life, isn't it? So you're totally right. We just got to do our homework, figure out how to eat properly. I think we don't get sick if we eat properly. I think it's a big part of it. We've been taught how to eat badly, and it's a money game, isn't it? I suppose that's what it comes down to.
The food pyramid.
Pharmaceuticals.
It's not a food pyramid for nothing.
Scary thought. Speaking of food pyramids, speaking of food shortages, they're pushing us into a corner, and they have been since the arm prick games.
They've done this before. The Holodomor, if you guys look up the Holodomor, I believe it was in the Ukraine. They starved the people out. You want to talk about real atrocity? Look up the Holodomor. I don't know. I'm pronouncing it in an American accent, but that's in the Ukraine. They just starved the people out until they died. People eating grass on the street. They're just, people died of starvation. That's called, that's a real genocide. Not like, there's some phony 6 million people out here that seem to think they have cornered the market on atrocities, but they have definitely cornered the market on conducting atrocities. And this is what they do. So, yeah, the Holodomor. So, yes, starving you out. And then if you have food, it's probably GMO and bugs and, sprayed. They're spraying. If you guys haven't noticed, they're spraying us like pesticides. They have these GMO seeds, obviously, to handle the pesticides. Now they're spraying everything in pesticides. So you're going to have a difficult time growing organic heirloom garden. You're going to have a tough time. I'm not saying don't try. I'm saying, but I'm just saying, So the food thing is going to be tough. I think intermittent fasting helps me a lot. I could go a couple of days without eating if I have to. It's not a big deal. But I don't know what I'm going to do on the third and fourth day. I'm going to eat probably something,
Thank God for technology. Thank God for greenhouse potentials. Thank God for being able to make your own soil, bring your soil in and create your separate little bubble, whether you're using sunlight or electrical lights. So at least we've got options. Well, not in South Africa because they got the lights off. Don't even get me going with South Africa. When the lights are on, they're on. When they're on.
And that's gratitude.
Interesting.
And I have gratitude. I want everyone to listen to that. We don't have power outages here very often, and not planned anyway, just during the storms. So everyone, I really want everyone to have operating gratitude. I have lights right now. They're not going to shut off, at least, at least not today, I don't think. Who knows? I can't, nothing's guaranteed. But when you live in an area where there's planned power outages and sometimes unplanned, often, it's a lot different. So, yeah, I just want to throw that out there.
Do you know the incredible thing is why we have electrical outages? People don't know this. We've got enough electricity that we never, ever have to have outages. But Eskom, the company, has been given the rights by our government to sell 60% of our electricity to Africa. So that's why we have outages.
If they could, they'd sell
100%. Buys our electricity and they never have outages. You know why? Because when our lights are off, we're sending it to them.
Yeah. If they could, they'd send 100% of it elsewhere. You know what I mean?
So it's all part of a big game that's being played. It's a very big game, and it's about bringing the rest of Africa up to scratch, financially and commercially, development. I think it's also about keeping South Africa in a box. That's why they had to split Namibia, because we had a very powerful economy. There was a time when you needed 2 British pounds to buy 1 rand.
Wow.
Yeah, well, we've got gold, diamonds, rubies, workforce, amazing agriculture, amazing weather. We've got the most potent sun potential for generating solar power in the world. So, we've literally got everything in this country. It's a very rich place.
Yeah.
And as if that's not enough, we've got tourism. You know, we've got Cape Town, we've got Kruger National Parks, we've got nature, we've got everything. Yeah. So I can see why they've, they had to, and the whole agenda of racism that's been state owned in this country. Well, the whole of Africa. Let's not even joke about it. I mean, Cecil John Rhodes. We've got blooming statues of this guy at Rhodes Memorial. We've got a memorial named after this guy, and he was basically somebody that was out there to split the African states in two and mix warring states and turn them into a new country so that we can guarantee civil war for the next 200 years. And that's what they did.
That's what they did in Pakistan and India. Pakistan and India, the Arabian Peninsula, of course, all over, like you said, all the Africas. That's divide and conquer. You divide a country, which, like you said, would otherwise has a history of being successful, and then you play them, and they probably go, "Oh, these guys hate you, and you hate them, and you're different." And they go, "Boom!" They sit back and go, "Cool. We'll just take the gold here. We'll take this over here. We'll take the electricity, sell it over there while they're fighting with each other." This is classic, and it's disgusting, truly disgusting. Here in California, I'm told that they're going to connect the sewer water, when you flush your toilets and stuff, with the main water. I'm not kidding. I know it sounds crazy because these people are crazy.
Can you imagine all those women on the pill?
Yeah,
just pumping pharmaceuticals into the water every time they pee. Well, and what percentage of women are on the pill these days, if not 60 or 70%?
That's right. Remember, like Alex Jones, he's like, they're turning the frogs gay because of that.
He was right, though. They are turning the frogs gay. It says bloody pills, man.
That's from flushing. That's from sending it down the water into the waterways. All the pharmaceutical stuff. It's silly, but they're turning the frogs gay.
Like, I'm living in a city where there's like the last numbers I saw was 4 million. It's probably closer to 4.5 million people in the city. And of that, there must be about 2.3, 2.4 million women. And of those 2.3, 2.4 million women, there must be about 1.6, 1.7 million women on the pill. And that's 1.7 urinations every day. And they're on the pill 24/7. So all the pills that they put in their body is just literally going into the water. And it just, every year it's more than it was the year before.
Yeah.
It doesn't go away. It just stays in the water. It recycles. It lives in the water system. Well, what a scary thought. And that way we will all become unable to have babies, so that they can. Now there is an interesting point. Let's talk about the what's the story with the babies? What was the story with all these babies being born in incubators?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, that was a thing. There were like baby factories here, at least here in the States, for sure. That's part of the repopulation. Also the orphans trains, where do these kids come from? I mean, you have places like, the Irish famine, the Ireland famine, and things like that, right? Okay, we'll send your kids to America. There's food there, and we'll find them a place. You put them on, and you just ship them all around the U.S. So yeah, there are incubators. Have been a thing. They were on display in the World's Fairs here in the U.S. Yeah, at the World's Fairs, as an attraction. So so they obviously have factories at that time, like literal, like you have puppy mills. They have baby mills, just baby mills, man. Like, I don't know where these women necessarily came from, but think about a war. You don't need a lot of dudes. You can just get sperm, right? And who's sperm? There's this guy, like that Epstein guy was talking about. He had so much sperm, and he was trying to inseminate so many women. He had his own baby factory. So imagine a whole bunch of, exactly. Mass genocides, wars, mainly genocides. So there are some of these maniacal people that will go, I'm just going to use my male, semen and just populate a few thousand chicks. Where do these girls come from? Well, when you go and take over and oppress and conquer, and you'll kill the men and stuff, and the kids sometimes, and you just take the women, and so there's probably a lot of that going on. Yeah, that's a thing. That's a thing, man. It's freaking dark. By the way, guys, it gets real dark real fast. If you want to really know what has happened, and is still happening around here, that you behind those like doors that you're talking about that you found, there's probably stuff going on over in there.
The story of Oliver definitely comes with a twist, sadly.
Yeah, man. Yeah, orphans, man, orphans. Here now in the U.S., you go into foster care, man. There's like a few million kids that go missing. Foster care is like the government taking your kids from you because they think they see everyone as government property. So, like in Virginia is one of the worst states. There's like several 100,000 kids just gone out of the system, just disappeared. They're somewhere, okay? Yeah. But Franklin, I actually need to go, my friend. I have to go earn my Matrix dystopian credits. But well, I'll be free. I'll be free soon. Free. I don't manifest money, or I manifest freedom. So with that, money can assist with my freedom. So what's the price? What's the price of freedom?
Well, thank you for taking the time to join us. Hopefully we can do a part 2 on the Ronin discussion, because there was still so many questions I wanted to ask you. Hopefully we can do a sequel. But thank you so much, and good luck with your playing the proverbial game of employment. I hope you can start your own business soon enough. That's obviously the way forward, isn't it? Do what you do for yourself, and then ask them to pay you in BC or whatever it is you're using, and that is the way that you will end up getting where you need to go. Or have them pay you a little bit of something in evil currency so that you can show that you've got some currency, and the rest of the money so that you don't have people knocking on your door saying, how did you buy the car? Because the IRS is legendary, aren't they? Like, they literally they come and kick your door down because you bought your kid an ice cream. The
Secret Service. If you know the Secret Service, they're the people that supposedly guard like the president and stuff. They work for the IRS. They're employees of the IRS. So when you talk about the Secret Service, think about secret police and coming and taking you away. See you later. So. Yeah, man. I don't know nothing. I have a lot of boating accidents. I used to have some precious metals, and they get lots of boating accidents. I don't know where any of that stuff is. If they say you have crypto, I'm like, I lost it. I don't know. I lose so much stuff. I don't know where anything is. How'd you get this car? I don't know. I don't even know this car. I'm like, I don't even know. Is that my car? It's not even my name. So I go and get a passport in another country, and I'll change my name legally in that country. You can call me Juan Gomez. Like, I'll be in a country where there's a billion Juan Gomez's. I'll legally change. I'll get a second passport. I will legally change my name to another country. And that's part of my adding a little obscurity. But anyway, that's a little advanced. It's a little advanced. But anyway, I want everyone to prosper, man. So I try and come out here and share what I can, because not only the utility that I'm talking about and being your own bank, as being early in anything, if you get involved, you're still incredibly early. In fact, next year is going to be so incredible. So you can prosper if you get involved like real soon, like this weekend real soon. You know what I mean? Because things are going to be going off, and then we can fund our adventures, fund our freedom, not really need them, not have to live off of UBI, universal basic income, and all that stuff. And but anyway, I'm gonna
big love to you, brother, and thank you for sharing your time with us, sharing your heart with us. It was short and sweet and beautiful, but that hour and a half flicked by like it wasn't even there. With you, I imagine we could speak for hours and still, We just started the convo. Big love to you. I hope you have an awesome day. The rest of your day, I hope it goes smoothly. I hope your family are flying and smiling, and your little girl is thriving, and that your dog is happy.
Yeah, man. Let me say like one last thing again, Franklin. I appreciate you so much, brother. This was a bit of a shotgun. Sometimes I just like to shoot shotgun ideas out there and see what sticks on the wall. But this has been I love talking with you because you're also, I love just parlaying with very, people who have interesting things and can hold conversations on all kinds of topics. I don't know everything, but I love to share and learn and receive. So, Franklin, you've been a true blessing in my life, brother. So I'm glad we've linked up. We'll have to do a part 2. You'll have to come on the Ronin Experience again. You let me know, open invitation, and we'll do a better. I'm getting better, guys, at communicating online like this. I still interrupt sometimes, but it's a lot less. But anyway, I want everyone to prosper. I want my whole purpose of being here and talking is to empower others. That's all. That's the only reason I'm out here talking. You know what I mean? Support the underground. If there's someone that has a service or has a book or has t-shirts or has anything, support the underground, man. Share people's stuff. This is how this motivates everyone. This motivates people, and you're literally supporting like a family-owned business or a mom and pop shop, but those that are in spirit and in love. So please, because otherwise, if the juice isn't worth the squeeze, people will dip. So definitely support the underground. And I have so much love and gratitude. I appreciate each and every one of you. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Love, and thank you for inspiring me and inspiring all of us. And you've made a big impact on me too. I probably wouldn't have been doing the round table if it hadn't been for you. You really got me inspired to do a little bit more. I think there's this infectiousness inside of your heart because you're straight up. And for all of you, we didn't even talk about this. We were just like, we're going to talk. Yeah, okay, let's talk. You got some time. He's got a couple of hours. Okay, it's 32. You've got about 27 minutes to get yourself work ready. Get on the case. Get to work. God bless you, brother. Thank you so much. Thank you all for joining us for this completely off the hat, off the cuff, impromptu. This is just Ronin. What you see is what you get. He didn't have any idea of what questions we were going to ask. I didn't even know. Like, it's Ronin. Like, we're just going to flow with it. So, flowing like water. He's a shamanically inspired guy that loves nature, touches nature, is touched by nature. And so our natures just touch. Thank you, brother. God bless you.
No gayness. All right, our energies touch sometimes, guys. Don't make it weird, okay, everyone?
Thanks. So much love, brother. Blessed be. And thank you all for joining us. Have an absolutely gorgeous day, all of you. And signing off, this is the Ronin Experience and BushWhisperer saying bye-bye, and take some of the wonderful advice Ronin gave you, because it's from the heart and it's on the ground, and it'll get you moving in the direction you want to move in. Big bless. Om Shanti.